Jerry, one of Ireland's best known entrepreneurs, you started Stockbyte up, and it was acquired in 2006 by Getty Images for $135 million. Where you're at today, I mean, you seem to be involved a lot in the supporting entrepreneurs and getting the right kind of mindset to support entrepreneurs, because as a country, the best lesson we've learned on economics is that we need more people like you, but more guys who can also basically feel encouraged as well. I mean, do you think Ireland's becoming that place that we needed to be to help entrepreneurs?
I think we're at our strongest point in our entrepreneurial history. As a judge in the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year program, I can see the figures and you see the reality of it. Our global ambition and the scale at which companies are now growing is absolutely stunning. And every year it gets better and better, and we're building competence at an incredible rate now. Irish companies themselves are indeed the foreign direct investors. I think it's now getting critical mass, and I think as a nation of entrepreneurs, what we're really good at is understanding customers and turning an idea or a concept into something that really makes life better for customers. And I think that's the key. That's the key issue, and that's what it's all about. We may not have all of the programming skills, or we may not have all of the talents that are needed, but we have the core one, and that's where the value is added. As a nation of English speakers, we never invaded anyone. We've got low corporate tax rate. It's probably the best place in the world to run from which to run a global company.
One of the things I always found we came up against was attitudes sometimes, like our attitudes to failure. Having a supportive government that is willing to look at things like bankruptcy laws. I mean, we have a new government that came into place this week, and earlier this week they came out with a programme for government that made many brave statements and promises. If there was a checklist of things that you would like to see changed that would help more people, and the interesting thing about you is that you came from a regional town and you were able to build a global business from there, and that's the dream I think every entrepreneur in any part of Ireland should have. But if there was a checklist of things that you would have that you would like to see implemented, that would help.
I think in the first instance it's really important that people understand that they take responsibility for themselves. There's more done in Ireland than in any country in the world to support entrepreneurs. No, I don't agree with all of it. I think it doesn't always function in the best possible way, but the reality is we do more to support entrepreneurs than anywhere else, through the state and also through the volunteers on programs like Endeavour and so on. Irish entrepreneurs give a huge amount of their time supporting new startups and so on. But having said that, I think we really need to look at education and the way we're preparing the future generations and how they look at their careers. I think really there's no real effort made to educate people on their futures and their careers, and for example, the way we teach maths. We're teaching them remedial maths. We're never going to produce programmers of a global standard if we don't improve what's happening there. It's been time after time it's being stated by people from the multinationals who are based here that the standard isn't good enough. So it just has to change, and like many institutions of the state, we've got to look at fundamentally, are we doing it wrong? And we've got to raise the game, we've got to raise the standards. We're paying a lot of money to educate people, and their futures are at stake. So that is the most important thing of all. But I mean, I really do believe that people need to take responsibilities for themselves. You can't expect the government to do anything. We are all citizens of this globalized world, and we have an opportunity to stake our own claim in it. And people do have responsibilities as well as rights, and they need to remember that.
Your story, I mean, you began as a photographer, and you're from a newspaper family. I mean, it was a very traditional kind of industry to be in, and you've seen that industry now turned on its head by change. But at the same time, you changed yourself. You created a business, and you repurposed yourself for the future. And if you can do it, I think anyone can do it in that sense, because it's about looking at the future and creating products for the future. Going after selling Stockbyte, you've set up the Endeavour program, but you've recently started another startup called Tweak.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago we launched tweak.com. It's the world's first one-stop shop for print and design. One of the things I hold very dear is the visual arts and design in particular. And I find it really stressful to look at the amount of businesses who are portraying themselves very poorly, underselling themselves, and damaging their businesses because of it. And for years I've wanted to solve this problem. We spent 3 years developing this. It's a very significant investment in technology and content So we aim to be the #1 creator of content for small to medium enterprises. We're addressing the needs specifically of 300 different business types right now, with compelling copy, great design, stunning pictures, all for one fixed price. It's never been done before, and it's great to have, that's where the Irish can really add a huge amount of value. It's our intellect at the end of the day that we're going to leverage. Technology is very important too, but technology is a service to the business, not the reason it's going to be sustainable in the long term. This is a very compelling speculative play on creative assets. We have 400,000 designs at launch. By the end of the first year, we'll have more than 1 million pieces of design. Right now, we have the largest range of customizable design anywhere in the world. In fact, we've invented this new category.
And getting, I was speaking to Dan Cobley from Google there not so long ago, and we were talking about the need for more Irish business to trade online, for example. And I was reading a statistic recently that kind of shocked me. Only out of all the companies in Ireland that have websites, only 21% have transactional abilities, and that's only grown 3% since the year 2000. I've been always saying that there needs to be a need for helping companies get off the ground and get running up and running really quickly. Meeting these kind of one-stop shops. Yeah. Do you see yourselves catering in the online side as well?
We're not getting into the online space just yet. But I think people do need to, whether you're self-employed like myself or whether you're an employee, people really need to get with their careers and manage their careers, because for example in retail, I think there's a huge challenge. I cannot understand why a lot of retail operations are still in business. The costs are absolutely prohibitive, and online operations can compete against them. So no matter how you're doing business, you really need to be at every touch point where the customer is going to be. Online shopping is really a big part of the future of retail, and I can see a lot of organisations closing if they don't use it properly. I mean, I know there's a local taxi firm in Killorglin who use the web incredibly cleverly to get airport jobs, and they do that very well indeed. And they're using their native cunning and a bit of common sense to use the internet cleverly for the benefit of their business, and that's the kind of sort of country cop on that makes a difference.